still in good nick. That's why I can't bring myself to change it, because it still looks good. Thought I'd do a garage slash jet ski slash Torana kind of walk around thing. The shed, the one I did for the shed and the toolbox, that's got a heap of views, so everyone must like that kind of stuff. So I thought I'd do the same for the garage. Probably just start over here. That's the we got NBN at this place, so it's fibre optic internet to the house. No phone line, so that battery and all that up there runs. It's meant to run your phone. We don't have a home phone anyway. We just use mobiles. So yeah, but if you had a home phone, if you had a power outage, that's what that battery's for. Just so if you got an emergency and there's no power, you can still call. That's the box with all the data points throughout the house, all meet up in there, and the modem feeds all them. That's for the solar panels on the roof, generating our own power. Whatever we don't use gets put back to the grid. I installed some extra lights in here as well, because it's a bit dark. Also painted the walls that whitey blue colour. They used to be that brown colour. I didn't paint. I hate painting, so I just left big squares where I couldn't be bothered painting around the pipes and stuff, but the majority of it got all painted. Yeah, so that light up there on the left, that one there, that just hangs up. I put those two extra batten lights up that are further away, just so when you're working on the car, get a bit of under bonnet light as well. And then that one in the middle is the original one you get with a house. And then there's another one of those 4-pot lights. I bought a third one. I was going to hang it up in this corner because it's a bit dark in this corner, but I actually left it, just plug it in. It's just got a normal power cord on it, so you can whack it under the car or put it inside the car wherever you're working. So that's pretty handy, having something that bright that you can move around. That's my air setup. I used to have the compressor in here, and I pushed the car one day and it scratched the side of the car, so I got pissed off. So I've got that blue line that runs all the way back near that column. It runs outside the house and then to the shed. So that compressor that you see in the shed, that air feeds all the way down here. It's probably about 20 metres. There's an air line just there that you can plug into, and one there, and another feed for the reel up there. So that's pretty cool. That's you don't have to hear the compressor running, anything like that. So yeah, it's good. I don't really use a lot of air tools. It's mainly when I polish the cars and stuff like that. I use it to blow out the pads on the polisher, or even just cleaning the cars, just using the compressed air to clean the cars out, the carpet and whatnot, and blow the dash off and stuff. That's pretty cool. That's the whole house water filter. We got that probably about a year ago, not quite. Really nice. Water tastes a lot different. You don't get all that chlorine-y taste. The water's not bad here, it's drinkable, but definitely my mate's got one, and he sent me a picture after he cleaned out the sediment filter, the one on the left, and it was just like a rusty brown colour, and they start off pure white, and that was after a year. Family of 4 after a year. So yeah, so I'm getting ready to change these filters probably in another 6 months or so, because there's only 2 of us here. So yeah, not too bad, but the plumber did a great job. Mate of a mate, and he pretty much comes in from the water meter that's just out the front, loops around this, and then back to almost where the water meter is to get back to the house. But yeah, I asked him to put a tap here, so when I'm washing the cars, because the only other tap we got at the front of the house is on the other side, and you got to get a big hose out, and it's just a pain. Whereas here, I've only got like a little 2 meter hookup, and the pressure washer just connects to that hose there. So that's really handy. That's the rack I used to use for my scooter to put it on the car. Just go to a mate's house, and then we take off from there and go in the city for dinner and stuff. So yeah, it was good fun. That thing there, I don't use that a lot, but when I do, it's so much easier than jacking the car up. So you pretty much slide that under the car. I've got a big drill. I'll just get round the side here. Hang on, it's a bit tight now. That big drill, it's like a plaster mixing drill, I suppose. Got a heap of torque. You really got to watch your wrist with that. But yeah, it goes under the car. You snap that drill into it, and it literally lifts the whole car up. I've had the Torana on it heaps of times and the Commodore once, and no dramas. And if you get it in the right spot, it kind of goes up, but then you can tilt it backwards and forwards. So if you're working under the engine bay, you just lift up the front bumper, and the whole thing just teeters over to the. You can almost sit under the car, plenty of room. I think it lifts at 400 mil, but 450 or something like that. But if you're tilting it, the front wheels are about 500-600 mil up in the air, and then same again. You can do it with the back. You can if you're working under the back there. So when we were doing the Holly Sniper system on this, it was really handy because you'd be under the back near the fuel tank doing the fuel pump and fuel lines, tilt it up, work under there, run the lines, tilt it up to the front, get under here. So it was worked out really really well. So I think they're about $1,400 from Hero Hoist in Queensland. The only thing is they won't deliver unless you've got a forklift to get it off the truck. So I was lucky enough to get it delivered to my work and then get the truck and drop it back here. But you can lift it. It's 2 people can lift that. I can lift that by myself now to get it on the floor. But when it's in the box and all packaged up, you need 2 people. It's on a pallet pretty much. So you do need a forklift. But they won't deliver unless you have a forklift. So it's a bit of you might have to carton a beer to someone down the road who has a forklift at some industrial place. This is my car cleaning. That's where I keep all my car cleaning stuff. So that's just a carpet cleaner for the mats. That's the it's not the polisher. Oh, that's a pet dryer. I use that to dry the car off. We used to have a SS VF, not a 2016 Commodore. So I was trying to keep the paint on that pretty nice. So I'd never used a towel on it to dry it. I got right into the detailing. I'm not so much anymore. But yeah, I mean that's pretty good for drying wheels and any bits that you can't get. But you can use compressed air as well. But that's a heated air, so it dries it a bit quicker. That's all. That pump thing at the back is for the Jetski to suck the oil out of the sump. It's got no drain plug obviously, so you got to suck the oil out of it. So that'll be another video coming up. Probably not till the end of the summer because I'm going to try and get this summer out of the oil and plugs that I got in there. So I just got a box of exterior, box of interior stuff, just various things. I used to have heaps more than that, and even that's probably too much. I can trim it right down. It's just stuff that I've used or half used and don't want to throw it out. Just some rags, and there's another light. That light's pretty cool as well. Just gets pretty hot. I've already had another one blow up because it got too hot, so I don't use that one very often. And then there's another light, that white light bar that plugs in, gives a nice light. So I normally use that under the bonnet. Must have a bit of a light fetish. But this garage it's pretty dark. Well, it was until I painted it. But if it's a nice sunny day and you got the door up, that white paint makes a huge difference. So I probably wouldn't use as many of the lights anymore. There's just a heap of microfibers in there. Bit of fish oil for rust stuff for the Torana. The vacuum cleaner. That pink stuff there in that bottle is just degreaser that I mix up. I got one of these recently, and I'm spewing I didn't get it a lot sooner. It's not an original Tornado for like $120. It was from AliExpress for about 20, and works really nice. So you can put whatever solution you want in there. It's got degreaser in there at the moment. I just use it for the wheels, and connect it up to your airline, and off you go. It makes it, pretty racket, like a very loud noise, bit of a racket. So you can't wash your car at 7 o'clock on a Sunday morning, but it does a really good job of the wheels. And if you're degreasing an engine or something, probably do that pretty good as well. I don't, but I haven't used it. But it really blasts the stuff off. So it's pretty much compressed air with degreaser infused in it, and it spins around. But you can shut it off so it's just air. You can use it for cleaning your carpet, blow all the sand and crap out of your carpet. So there's a little brake bleeder down there. It doesn't work very good. Again, that was another cheapie. I'm sure an expensive one works better. A couple of fishing rods that I don't use anymore. Oi! Stop it! That's enough. Close the door. I want to hear them. What else we got? So that timer that I got there on the left, that's running these towel racks, heated towel racks, and they're pretty cool. Picked them up from Spotlight. It's just like a place that sells blankets and sheets and craft stuff, and they're only $10 each. They're on special, and yeah, they work really well. You don't get that stinky towel smell in winter. So I keep them in the garage though, because otherwise it gets they pump out a bit of heat and they heat the room up in summer. But I just haven't put them back in the thing, so in the bedroom. So I just leave them there. And then this thing is a little dehumidifier. Just in winter I run it. Just I mean, that amount of water that's in there, that's since Saturday morning, and it's what is it today? Wednesday afternoon. So yeah, you're emptying that twice a week pretty much. It's yeah, it does alright. Don't know if it helps, but I'm sure it does somehow. It's a fishing tackle box up there, little fan for summer. Got some stuff to service the jet ski. That's all the jet ski stuff pretty much here. So this pink stuff you run through this thing, connected to your hose when you come back, because everything I do here is salt water. There's no fresh water around where you can take a jet ski that's close to Perth. So it's all either out in the ocean or the Swan River, and the Swan River's pretty salty, so you got to wash it properly when you get back. And then the blue stuff is the engine flush, and it hooks up through the hose to that, through its own little flushing hose that it has. And then when it's all dry, I normally rinse. I don't wet the engine every time, but rinse it off, just the outsides of the inside of the hull. I just rinse it, but I don't drench the engine every time. And then when everything's dry after a couple of days, I spray that stuff, or this stuff. The guy I bought it from gave me them, and then I just bought that extra. But that seems to keep it pretty good. I'll pop the lid later. We're going to have a look in there after this. That's about it. And then there's a bit of scooter stuff. My missus she's still got her scooter, but she doesn't use it anymore, and I'm not really using mine anymore. But yeah, they're the helmets. You've got those things that you can listen to music and talk to each other on them. That blue esky clips on the back of the jet ski. So you got a esky, it's got rod holders and things like that. But I've only ever used it if we've gone to lunch on Garden Island to bring a bit of food and a couple of beers and whatever. So there's all the there's a cover there for the jet ski, and I've got a heap of different what are they called? Floaties, safety vests that you have to wear. You get a fine if you don't wear them. In this, we've got an i20, Hyundai i20. We bought it probably 4 or 5 months ago, and I just bought like a heap of stuff. There's oil there and air filters and pretty much every consumable item. So as I do a service on them, I'll just pull it from here. I don't have to go to the shop every time. Got, windscreen wiper blades and all sorts of stuff. So I've already done the spark plugs, but I haven't done the oil yet. So it's due for a service soon, so I'll do the oil on that. Probably do another video on that. Did the cabin filter in it, and that was filthy. I don't think it's ever been changed. So yeah, that's a good little handy hint. Just go and buy all the stuff for your car and have it at home, and that way you don't go to the shop on the day you've got the car up on stands with no oil in it and figure out they've got no oil. So yeah, that's good trick. Same box there. That's just full of jet ski stuff. Locks and spare stainless things in case you lose something, straps to strap it down, that kind of stuff. In here, I've got just keep a bit of sun cream and lip balm and stuff in there. I've got a rope, flares, which you must have if you I don't know, go a certain distance offshore. I can't remember what it is. Oh, they can stay there. That's the cover for the Torana. That should be up here. Yeah, so you can see. I'll get the torch. The torch is not here. Should be able to see, but she looks pretty good. It's a 2017, and looks fairly new. The guy that had it before me, he had it from new, and he really looked after it. So I've kind of kept it on. It doesn't get much water in there anyway. But yeah, she goes right. It's only the little one. It's only like a 1100 or 1 litre. I think it's a 3-cylinder 1 litre, something like that. Goes alright. Does 60, 70 k's an hour. Plenty fast enough. My mate's got a GP supercharged GP 1800 2021 one, and I mean it doesn't keep up with him, but there's no need. I've had a shot on his and I just got off it and went, nah, no need for me to go that quick on water. So yeah, I've never changed the battery in. I just keep it on charge. There's the oil filter there, so you pretty much have to suck the oil out of your. That's where you check the oil, so you suck it out of there. And there's another spot you suck it out of as well. Right down there, there's a yellow cap. That's right into the crank there, so you suck it out of that as well. Yeah, it takes a while. It's not as quick as doing it on the car, just due to the fact you got to suck it out. But I mean, it's no other way around it really. And also, I put a fish finder on it, not to find fish. It was just mainly for navigation and speed. Because I put one of these things where you put your speaker on, and then when you put that on, you can't see your display for your speed anymore. So, and the speed's not in knots; it's in kilometres an hour or miles per hour. And I wanted it in knots, so yeah, I bought I can't even remember what it is. It's in that box. Yeah, can't remember. Next time I get it out, when we go jet skiing, I'll spark it up. But it's pretty good. Tells you the depths and fish. It's never found a fish before, but I got the thing out here, so I only had to drill one hole for the wire to go in, and then I just piggybacked it off the step bracket like that. And yeah, she stays nice and solid. Works at all speeds, so it's all good. So that's a jet ski. That's all I can tell you there, I think. Yeah. And then this thing. So you've probably already seen the inside of the Torana, or you've seen the outside. So it got painted in 2002. This was my first car. Had it when I was in year 12. So 2004 it got painted. It was bought it for $200 off this young kid that was a real estate agent, and you to buy the same car these days is probably about $30,000, but this was in 2002, and then it took me 2 years to get to this stage. And he was selling it because he couldn't rock up to selling houses in an old bunky Torana. It was a 6-cylinder automatic, blue with a white roof, like granny spec, proper granny spec one. So this is not an original SLR. And then I already had another Torana that had too much rust, and that had a 4.2 litre 253 V8 in it, the small V8 that Holden make, and that was pretty good. Dad's a mechanic, so he tricked it up a bit, and it went all right. It went pretty quick for a little 4.2 litre, and then we bunged it all out and put it in this car once this was painted. I only bought that $200 body. This body is because mine had too much rust. So the $200 body that we bought had a little bit of rust in the back quarter panel and the boot. So the boot got cut out and put a HZ Kingswood boot pan in it, and a little bit of rust in the right rear quarter panel, and then the rest was sweet. So yeah, all up it was about $8,000. That was in 2004. It was about $8,000 to get it from granny spec to painted to look like this. And then me and Dad already had the interior, so that interior came out of my original car and put it in here. The dash, the seats, carpet, everything. And the 4.2 litre went in, and I had a Muncie gearbox out of a Camaro, and it had just the original Banjo diff, which was the 6-cylinder diff, which is fine with the 4.2 litre, but it wouldn't take this. So now this one started off with a VT Series 2 block, a VT Commodore, so that's probably 95, 97 year, I don't know, 1997, something like that. So the block's out of a 97 Commodore, which the Series 2 came out with a 355 stroker for the HSVs. So this block already had the clearancing done to the bottom of the block where the piston goes. You can do it to the previous blocks, but you have to do the clearancing. But we're lucky enough that this one already had it, so didn't have to do that. And then what else happened? Yeah, so then me and Dad built the 355 up. The gearbox didn't last long after that, and neither did the diff. So it's got a 9-inch, 28 spline 9-inch in it with just a normal LSD. It had a mini spool when I bought it, and I hated driving it with the mini spool. It's just not practical on the street at all. So I took that out, and it had 411 gears as well. So I got it rebuilt with a 3.25 I think, or 3.08 LSD. So heaps better on the street now. And the Muncie I got from, I was going to go a 5-speed or a Tremec or something, but it was going to cost too much money. It was going to be upwards of $13,000 to change over from a Muncie, because I would have needed a new bell housing, a new cross member, plus to get the gearbox, and that would have been cool because I would have had a 5 or 6-speed. Can't remember which one I was going to go for. It would have benefited it a lot to have that, but yeah, I just didn't want to fork out the $15,000 to do it. So I went to 5 Speeds, I think he's called. I can't remember his name now. He's in Florida and he builds up brand new Muncies. So he gets the cases and there's no old parts in it. It's all just built from brand new stuff, but it's exactly how Muncies are back in the 60s and 70s. So that's what I've ended up in here. So it's got the Rock Crusher Muncie ultra wide ratio, I think it was, and it suits it nice, and yeah. And that was pretty good. I can't remember his name. He's on YouTube, but he hasn't put out videos for a long time. And it took him a while to build it, like he said he would, and I said I wasn't in a rush for it anyway. But then he sent me a message saying, yeah, send us your final payment, and it's on the plane on Sunday from Florida, and it rocked up to my place in Perth on a it said Friday, but it rocked up on a Thursday. So I was pretty impressed with that, and the shipping was like $260 or something with FedEx. Yeah, so I couldn't believe that. So yeah, 4 or 5 days to get from Florida to Perth. So it's not too bad, but I suppose that's FedEx for you. So yeah, that went in. At that stage, the diff was already in, so it all went in. No dramas. We didn't have to change anything because, like I said, even though it's a brand new gearbox, it's exactly the same as a Muncie was back in the day, built to the same spec. So the old Muncie went in, and this one went. The old Muncie out, and this one went in. Not an issue at all. It was all done in a day, pretty much. And then what do we got here? And then since then, I've been chasing gremlins with the carby that I used to have. I had a Holly 750 double pumper on it, and it just didn't like starting in the cold. Didn't like idling. Didn't like full throttle. And we finally, after playing with it and trying different things and fuel pumps and stuff, finally I sold it and got a Holly Sniper EFI system on it. So yeah, just at a glance you wouldn't know that it's fuel injected, but except for the wiring, it was pretty neat in here. But once you go Holly, you kind of got to have a lot of extra sensors, like coolant temp, all that's for the Holly. Those 2 big looms are there for the Holly. An extra fuel line because you need a return line. Plus a few wires at the back, and then I got that. I was having dramas with the coil as well. When it was cold, it was all good, and then as it got hotter and hotter, it just started backfiring and misfiring. And we thought it was the carby, and that was half the reason we went to the EFI, and then we put the EFI on it. And it was still doing it. So then we narrowed it down to the coil, and put that thing on, and that is. That made a big difference. We noticed a big difference in power and response in revs by going from the old. I still had a Holly. I can't remember what it was. Whatever that is, MSD. It was an MSD coil, but not that big one, that big blue one. So yeah, big difference. Going from there to there felt like another 20 horsepower just from changing the coil. I'm sure it wasn't, but the responsiveness and the way it started and ran was just so much better. So it complemented the Holly pretty good. And I got an MSD. That was off the original when we built this engine. So if I do it again, I'd probably buy the whole kit that Holly sell. And they sell the kit that comes with the Sniper, their own distributor and coil that all plugs in very easily and sets up much easier than this. I think Holly own MSD now, so it still matches in, but it's just a lot easier the way they've done it with all their plugs. So yeah, it's still got the 6-cylinder brake booster on it, which is fine. It locks it. I used to have 2 4.5s on the front of this because I had 14-inch tyres on it originally, 14-inch rims, and I had 2 4.5s at the front, and it used to lock them up. So I never changed it, never bothered about changing it. And then I went and I did the brakes, that's right. So I did these brakes. The front brakes are off a Corvette. Apparently they're Gerlock calipers. Can't remember the rotor, but they're a bit of an upgrade. I think they were on the Kingswoods at one stage, so they were already on it. But then I did VS Commodore. So VS is like a 94, 95 model Commodore. So it's got VS rear brakes, disc brakes, because you used to have drums. And my drums were warped like an egg. So you turn, if you just ride the brake a bit, rocking up to a set of lights, it'd just rock around like you're on a rocking horse. So we couldn't get rid of it. We had the drums machined, and just couldn't get rid of it. So we got rid of them and put VS rear disc brakes. So that was a bit of a conversion, because you got to change your handbrake cable and a few of the pickup points and stuff. But it wasn't too bad. A couple of the brake lines and stuff. So, but no, that works really well. So doing that, the 14-inch rims wouldn't fit. So I had to go to 15-inch. So I got 15 by 10s at the back, 15 by 8s at the front, and 225 tyres now on the front, and it's locks them up, no dramas, and 295 60s I think at the back. So it looks good now. It fills out the guards, whereas before the tyres used to be tucked right under, whereas now you can see that tyre's pretty much flush with that guard, which is what you have. You're not allowed to have tyres sticking out in Australia. No part of the tyre can stick out past the guard, so that's why their Toranas have got these extra flares on them, so you can put big boots on them. But also doing that, because it's got 295s, had to do the cut. There was no way around it. So this used to come here, so we've had to cut big thing out. Kind of still scrapes, but it's a lot better than what it was. That's the interior. Interior's a bit outdated. I chose all that stuff when I was like 18 years old. So good 20 years ago. And probably the latest thing I've done. Oh, the latest thing's that EFI thing, but before that I just did the stereo up in it. I had a really good stereo in this at one stage, then ripped it out thinking I just want to go full engine and just listen to it. And then I still wanted a stereo, and I sold all that gear. So then I just put a little stereo in, just no sub, or one sub, 10-inch sub, and I wasn't happy with it. So then I went stupid and did this one. So the head unit's nothing special. It's just a Kenwood, I think. Yeah, just some Kenwood thing. It's pretty customizable. But then it's got 6.5-inch splits, Alpine in the door. 6x9s in the parcel shelf. And then in the boot, get into it. You got two Rockford Fosgate 12-inch P3s, and that doesn't leave you much room. You're not going shopping anymore, but it's worth it. So that sounds good now. Shakes this car and the car that you park next to. So pretty happy with that. So that goes good. And that's something that's not quite standard. I can't get back anymore, but normally that's black. And I just went for like a bluey silvery colour back in the day, and looks alright. I've seen it on another car. But normally that's a black sticker. When you got a red or blue car, it looks pretty good. But yellow and black it was a bit of a contrast with all that lettering. So I thought I'd just tone it down a bit. That's the shifter. I could do with a bit longer, but I've got long arms, so that suits me pretty good. I've never really reaching for it to get in it first or anything like that. So I'm probably going to leave it, but looks a bit funny, but it works. And that's the dash. Pretty simple. I'll put those extra 3 dials in, just volts, oil pressure, and engine temp, which you don't really need any of that now because you got this fancy digital Holy Sniper screen which shows all of that. So but if I take them out, there's going to be 3 holes there, so I'm not going to do that. But I used to have that little racing steering wheel, so I've gone back to original. Say with the centre console, I ripped all that out when I was younger, thinking it's pretty cool to have no console and just 2 seats, had a fire extinguisher in the middle. But I'd rather rest my elbow on something, so had to weld back in all the points to mount that back up, and that was a bit of a job, that one. Got a little dash cam up there which I haven't put back in yet. But that's a Torana. What else is under here? Oh, that's just a radiator off eBay, I think, alley radiator, and then I've got twin 12-inch Spal thermos, and that works really good. Pretty much only because a Holly, that sniper controls your fans. Well, you can make it control your fans, you don't have to. And I've got them staggered, so one comes on before the other, and not once has the second fan been on. I don't really, because there's no aircon in this car, so I don't drive it. Probably about 25 degrees and above, I don't really drive it unless it's in the morning. But yeah, on a hot day, 30, 35, I'd say you could probably still drive this car and it wouldn't be a drama. For the engine, you'd be sweating your balls off, but yeah, because it does get pretty hot in there. The firewall, I don't have any insulation or anything, so it just all comes through, all the heat. But yeah, like I said, I don't drive it when it's too hot. But yeah, that works pretty well. I flushed it out a few times and no corrosion or anything like that, so it seems to be working. What else? That's about it. Put some original Torana mirrors back on. There's a shop in Australia called Rare Spares, and they sell pretty much every single part. I don't think there's one part that you can't buy for this car, even though it's like pushing 50 years old. You can buy everything. That steering wheel's from them, the mirrors, they're reproduction, but they're reproduction from the original part. So yeah, they sell all the rubber, door rubbers. You can even buy panels. You can buy quarter panels and doors and door skins and stuff like that. Buy the bumpers, all the grille stuff, all the headlight stuff. So that's pretty much Toranas, old Commodores, Kingswoods, Falcons, all Ford stuff, all Ford and Holden stuff. They're pretty good. They keep moving shop, getting bigger and bigger, so I'm not too sure where they are now, but they used to be in Osborne Park. So I'm not too sure if they're still there. That was another little mod. That's for the heater fan for the vents inside. And I've got these big aluminium rocker covers because it's got roller rockers and all that in there. And it was touching, so I had to make a little clearance around that. So that was a good little project. And I used to have a Gilmer belt set up on this. And I was going through alternators, like hardly drive the car, and I was going through an alternator probably every 2 years, and we figured it out. It was the Gilmer belt. We had it tight, we had it loose, we tried everything, but it was just getting some harmonics that was damaging the bearings in the alternator. And now we've gone to this setup, some mob over east of Australia, and it's a serpentine belt. It doesn't make that noise anymore, which is kind of good. But yeah, it's much better system, runs nice and true. I think I had to put one spacer. I had to get a spacer. My mate's got a lathe and he made me up a spacer just to get it run perfectly, but it probably didn't even need it. It was only like 1 mil or 2 mil it needed. And this alternator's been really good and pumping out like 14.8, 15 volts, whereas all the other alternators I was getting were struggling to do 13. So yeah, not 100% sure it was the Gilmer, but could have been something else that we changed when we did all the EFI setup. But either way, it's gone, and that's good. So yeah, that's a Torana. Not much else I can say. It's got a drop tank on it as well, because they originally come with like a 55 litre tank. Probably see it in the other video that I just posted yesterday a bit better, but yeah, it's got a 120 litre drop tank, so at least you can go places with it now, because she's pretty thirsty on the fuel. But yeah, that's about it really. These are all from Rare Spares. So I used to have, I got the original ones done in black chrome, and looked pretty nice, but they started pitting out again and rusting, so I just got these ones, so brand new from Rare Spares. Not in black chrome, but yeah, it looks right in chrome. That's all I can think of. No other mods really. The engine's pretty tricked out, but I've never had it on a dyno. At a guess, I'd say 400, 450 horsepower, but that's only guessing, I'm not sure. It's a pretty common combo. The only thing I didn't do, because I already had the heads, these heads have got a heap of work to them, but they are these are the original cast iron heads. And the way you can tell is by the extractor, so you got one by itself and then two close together and then one by itself. They're called VN heads, so anything VN onwards were aluminium, some were iron I think, but they're equally spaced, so there's no hot spot in the middle of those two cylinders of the extractors, and they're a bit better, they flow a bit better. But these heads I've had done a heap of work, so they're ported, polished, flow tested, and they've also got the big 2.02 valves for inlet and 1.86 exhaust. I think they are, which is the spec of the Torana from back in the day. So, and I had all that done to the heads. It was, I don't know, I can't remember what it cost. It was years ago. But they're the heads off that were on the 253 as well. So, and this is different. The inlet manifold's different. So if I wanted to change the heads, I'd have to change the extractors, the heads, the inlet manifold, and probably by changing the extractors, they're not going to fit with the exhaust, so I'd have to get a new exhaust. And yeah, like I said, I don't drive it enough to start doing stuff like that to it, so it's going to stay how it is. So it could probably produce more power with new heads, but because it's got the older heads on there, probably not. But yeah, it is what it is, and that's how it's going to stay. Goes way fast enough for me. That's good enough for me. Sounds good. So yeah, we'll have to do a driving video one day when the missus comes with us, because I can't film and change gears and drive all at the same time. So when she comes, I'll get her to hold the camera. We'll go for a drive out in the bush somewhere, out in the hills, through the Swan Valley, things like that. But I'll have to wait for some good weather. Like I think I said on the previous videos, I never drive this in the rain. It's never been wet in all the time I've owned it. So yeah, I'll probably keep it that way, I'd say. But that's all I can think of at the moment. So probably lock this video off here. It's probably gone for long enough. Yeah, 30 odd minutes. So yeah, catch you on the next one.